The central, paralyzing fear of dating after decades of marriage or single life is that the entire social ritual feels completely foreign. The rules have changed, the technology is bewildering, and the emotional risk seems disproportionately high. If that sounds at all familiar, then you have come to exactly the right place.
You know that feeling of being frozen? It's not just you. It's pretty much the standard experience for so many of us stepping back into the dating world. It really is like waking up somewhere totally new, right? Where you don't speak the language, you don't know the local customs, and wow, the stakes feel so incredibly high, don't they? It's more than just a bad date. It's about protecting your heart, your dignity, your sense of self.
And that idea, that's exactly the metaphor we're going to run with today. See, dating after 60, it's not about digging up the old rulebook. Nope, it's about learning a completely new language. I'm talking new words, new grammar, new ways to talk to each other. And yeah, it can feel a little intimidating at first, but here's the thing about any new language. You can learn it. You can absolutely become fluent. So think of this as your personal language class. We're going to hand you the textbook and the vocabulary you need to start speaking this new language with confidence.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why it feels like a foreign social ritual. Then we'll get into the why, the two modern shocks. After that, we'll lay out the solution, something we call the dual skill challenge. Then we get practical with the digital safety playbook, shift our thinking with reframing for companionship, and we'll wrap up with a really gentle first step you can take. It's a clear path, I promise, from feeling anxious to feeling ready.
Okay, first up, a foreign social ritual. Before we start learning the new language, we've got to get the lay of the land, right? We need to just take a second and acknowledge that feeling, that fear of starting over. It is completely 100% valid. It's the fear of the unknown mixed with a lifetime of experience. So we're not going to sit here and dwell on it. We're just going to name it and then use it as our launch pad to build some real confidence.
All right, we've put a name to the feeling. So now let's dig into the cause. We're moving from what we're feeling to why we're feeling it. I mean, what really changed out there to make dating feel so strange? Well, it turns out that anxiety you might be feeling, it's not just in your head. It's actually a totally logical response to two huge real shifts in how people connect these days. And that's what we're calling the two modern shocks.
So that's the big question, isn't it? What is actually causing all this anxiety? Why is it so different from how things were in our 20s or 30s? And look, the easy answer is the internet. But it's a bit more complicated than that. It's really two powerful things hitting you all at once.
Okay, so let's break this down. First, on one hand, you've got the tech shock. This is all the practical stuff, right? Like, how do you even use these apps? What do you write in a profile? And what are the new rules? Do you text? Do you call? It's the nuts and bolts. But then there's the other side of the coin, the relational authenticity shock. And this one's deeper. This is the human stuff. It's that feeling of, what does this person actually want? And all that ambiguity creates this weird pressure to put on a show, you know? To be this perfect version of yourself instead of just connecting with someone honestly.
And those two shocks, they lead to some very real-world risks. We're not just talking about feeling a little awkward on a date here. When you combine this new tech with all that uncertainty about what people want, well, it's kind of a perfect storm. Your emotional vulnerability is naturally high. You're putting yourself back out there. But the scary part is, some people are actively targeting that vulnerability. And the risk of financial fraud, things like romance scams, has just gone through the roof. This isn't just something to be aware of. These are real threats you have to actively manage. So the big question is, how on earth do you manage all that? Well, that brings us right to the heart of what we're talking about today, the dual skill challenge. And listen, this isn't just some little tip or a trick. This is a full-on framework for building your confidence and your security literally from the ground up. It's a structured plan that's designed to tackle both of those shocks we just talked about, the tech side and the human side.
So what is this dual skill challenge exactly? Okay, think of it as a two-phase plan, and the order is absolutely critical. It means you have to master the technical safety skills first. I'm talking about the how-to of staying safe online. You have to build that solid foundation. And only then, after that's handled, you shift your focus to the emotional side, to connection and figuring out your goals. You know, trying to juggle both at the same time is just overwhelming. And trying to build an emotional connection before you've got the safety part down, honestly, that's just not safe.
So here it is, broken down. Phase 1 is technical mastery. This is your homework, plain and simple. It's about learning the rules of the game before you step onto the field. You learn the safety stuff. You get how the apps work. You basically build a secure digital fortress around yourself. Then, and only then, do you move on to phase 2, emotional reframing. And this is the nice part. This is where you can actually relax a little. Because once the safety is taken care of, you can just let go of all that pressure. You can focus on what you really want, which for a lot of people is just good, honest companionship. Safety first, connection second. That's the rule.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. This next part is where we turn all this theory into actual practice. This is your digital safety playbook. We are going to walk through the actual, concrete steps you can take to get that technical mastery we've been talking about. And these aren't just, nice ideas. Think of these as the essential plays in your own personal safety game plan.
First up, action number 1, the profile audit. So before you hit publish on anything, just draft up your profile, be yourself, be honest. But here's the key part. Find someone you trust who gets this stuff, maybe your kid, a niece or nephew, a tech-savvy friend, and have them look it over. And they're not just checking for typos. They're looking for 2 big things. 1, does this actually sound like you? And 2, and this is huge, did you accidentally give away too much information, like your last name or your specific neighborhood? That second pair of eyes is your absolute first line of defense.
Okay, action number 2. And this one is a total game changer. It's the video first rule. Seriously, make this your personal, non-negotiable policy. Before you spend any time or energy planning to meet someone, you have to do a quick video call. 5 minutes is all you need. The goal is super simple: verification. Does the person on your screen look like the person in their pictures? It is that simple. And I'm telling you, this one little step is the single most powerful way to weed out scammers and fakes. Think of it as your personal digital bouncer.
And action number 3, this is for when you're actually ready to meet up, the low stakes practice. Let's completely rethink what that first coffee date is. It is not some high pressure audition for the one. No, it's just a safe, low pressure practice run. And the rules are super simple. First, set a time limit. Say, I've got an hour. It gives you a built-in, easy exit. Second, always meet in a public place you know well. And third, this is the most important part, just keep telling yourself the goal is practice. That's it. You're just building that dating muscle again in a safe way.
Okay, so we've got our safety playbook. We've built that solid foundation. We've handled phase 1. So now we get to shift our focus. We can move from the technical stuff to the emotional stuff. This part is all about our mindset, about having some wisdom for the long haul. It's about completely reframing this whole thing, taking the pressure off and aiming for something way more fulfilling.
And this is so important. Look, the real goal here isn't some crazy whirlwind movie romance. The real, lasting, deeply rewarding goal is high-quality, mutual companionship. It's about finding someone you can share things with, have a laugh with, someone who respects you and you respect them. And as soon as you make that your goal, all that pressure to be perfect just melts away. It's not a test anymore. It's just a search for a real connection.
And here's why this whole approach just makes so much sense. The wisdom in this is that having a structure, having a plan, is your best protection. When you follow this dual skills challenge, you're basically putting up a shield for your heart and for your bank account. A plan just strips away all the chaos and the fear. It lets you walk into this feeling strong and in control. And when you feel that way, it's so much easier for a real, authentic connection to actually happen. So being in control doesn't just make you safer, it makes the whole thing more enjoyable.
Wow, we've covered a lot. So for our last section here, we're going to boil it all down to one key idea. And then I'm going to give you a super simple, gentle challenge to get you started. This is all about taking what you've learned and turning it into one small, easy action. Seriously, if you only remember one thing from our time together today, make it this. This is the core lesson that pulls everything together. Dating after 60 is a dual skill challenge. And your safety, your success, it all hinges on getting that technical mastery down before you worry about the emotional reframing. That's the #1 rule. It is the key to unlocking this whole thing safely. So what's your gentle first step? It's just one tiny thing. Your only homework for this week is to learn one new digital safety skill. Not a whole list, just one. Because making that first step really small and doable, that's the secret to getting the ball rolling.
And hey, to make it even easier, here are 3 ideas for that one thing. You could just hop online and learn how to do a reverse image search. It's a way to see if profile pictures are legit. Or maybe spend 20 minutes just looking up the safety features on a specific dating app. Or maybe the easiest one of all, just sit down and really cement in your mind that you have a zero-tolerance policy for anyone ever asking for money. Just pick one. That's all. That's your first step. So let's wrap this up. That fear we started with, that feeling of being in a totally foreign country when it comes to dating, it's real. But hopefully you see now that it's really just a manageable two-part learning curve. It's not some impossible mountain to climb. It's more like a class you can pass. And the biggest lesson to hold on to is getting that technical mastery down first, making things like the video first rule a non-negotiable part of your routine. Because in the end, this journey isn't about being afraid. It's about taking care of yourself in a smart, empowered way. And that is the real key to finding joy and genuine companionship in what can be a truly exciting, wonderful new chapter. You have the map, you have the tools, and you can absolutely do this with a sense of calm confidence and real hope.